Hi everyone, it's Thursday night, 9 o'clock time for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. And just as I say that, one of our guests disappeared, probably the Wi-Fi link going down. And he's not the only thing that's disappeared this weekend, I can tell you. We've had 3 Currie Cup matches disappear. We've got a bit of a sparse offering to talk about, but talk about it we will. And let me start by introducing you to Oraclepedia at Oracle Rugby, as we used to name. Gav, good to see you, mate.
How's it, Brent? Yeah, good to be back. I see I'm almost becoming a regular now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good. I mean, you've generally always been a regular, except when you take your well-announced breaks, where you just decide to step back. And I think it's a very good thing for a punter to do every now and again. In fact, I know, for example, the conductor spoke to me the other day. He says he's taking a bit of break from betting. And it gets very intense when you're betting all the time. And sometimes it's good just to step back and enjoy the sport a bit.
Yeah, I think, Brent, we've all been there before. Some of us are better than others. I don't claim to be the best punter. I'm a winning punter, but this year actually hasn't been great for me. But yeah, you go through a patch where you start questioning: are you doing the right thing? Are you calling it right? And you keep getting it wrong, and then that desire to we call it chasing in the industry. That desire to increase your bet to try and grab back what you lost last week or that month. When that desire starts coming, that's time to push the button and say, hang on a second. I don't want to go down this road. I've been there before. Not interested. Take a break. Don't even watch. I mean, some games, some weeks, I just haven't even watched, and it's good. It's good to have a break. It really is.
Excellent. Well, joining us, coming in at the bottom of the screen now after disappearing there for a while, it's Hendrik Swart. Hendrik, good to have you back on the show.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, nice to be back again. I see we have no Currie Cup this week. Strains all 3 games. Cancelled. I told you just before the show, scrap not having a Friday evening game. I love the Friday evening games, having the braai going and 7 o'clock Friday evening game to get the weekend going. So it's going to be a strange evening tomorrow night, but yeah, we'll have to. These are strange times, especially in South Africa. But yeah, Saturday at least we have a few games.
Excellent. Well, let's start with you with the first game. And last night we had a Wednesday. We, of course, had a midweek game, and it was the British and Irish Lions playing against the South African A side. And, of course, when that South African A side was announced, everyone started calling it a 4th test. And although I didn't go that far, it certainly was played, not at test match intensity, because I think you've made the point that the team certainly didn't want to show all their cards there. But it was a case of, no one wanted to really let the other team get the upper hand over them. You, I think, won under 47.5 points in that game, so that was at least a win. I was on over 5.5 tries, which was a loser. What did you make of that? And are you sort of were you expecting any market shifts after that?
Yeah, Brent, I didn't expect a big shift, but yeah, you expected, and you said that after the game, and you were correct. I see there has been a bit of a shift in favour of the box and a bit of a drift on the Lions for the series and for the first test. But it was a game where both teams probably held back. There was lots of physicality from the South Africans, and yeah, I said after the game that I think the Lions didn't really take the game seriously, and they held back a bit. When you're playing against 13 men, it's in injury time in the first half. You've got a 5-meter penalty. You have to take the line out or the scrum, but obviously they didn't want to show us the moves, and they didn't want us to be tested in that situation. So they tapped, which was very strange. But yeah, I've interacted with a few guys on Twitter today, and lots of guys saying the South Africans held back as well. Probably true. Neither team wants to show their hand at this stage. So I don't think any team can take a lot out of that game. It was a strange game, and yeah, you were expecting tries. It was probably the right thing the way the Lions have been playing so far. With the upcoming tests, I think the way to go will be unders on tries, especially in Cape Town. It's a bit wet underfoot, even though it's not raining. There's dew in the evenings, and it's not at altitude. So, yeah, I think there will be less points, and both teams will be kicking at posts. So I think unders on tries in the tests is the way to go. But getting back to the Stormers game, I see the handicap is around 40.5, 37.5 at Sunbet. So if you fancy the minus, I think that's your best one, 37.5. I'm going to go for a plus here. Not very confident, but with Cape Town being lower scoring than up on the I felt the plus is the way to go. I think the Lions might be looking at the first test now as well, so they might be more focused on that. So I think with the 40.5 handicap, I think the plus is definitely the way to go. Yeah.
Right, let's bring Gavin in and see what his thoughts on this one. Gavin, it's a big cap, but the Lions, if you take that South Africa A side game aside, they've swept aside all opposition before them, although they were helped by a Sharks red card in their third game. What do you make of this one? And then share your thoughts on what happened in midweek as well and the series ahead.
Okay, so I'm a little bit irritated. I've been caught with this French game a couple of times, so I'm not on the news or making myself aware of every single fixture that's on. And I got caught last week with that French-Australian game at halftime, realizing it was only on then. They winning by 8. I went and took -1.5 like an absolute idiot. They lost. Look, I would have taken the board as well if it was a decent price. So I can't claim to have won that game. I don't know how the French lost that. I don't know why we're playing Wednesday games and Tuesday games. And I mean, what's with the Australians playing their test? Are they all on holiday or they're all on, I don't know what it is that they're playing Wednesday night fixtures. But anyway, going back to the South African A game, I don't know why we call it a South African A. Listen, Henrik, you shared that thing on Facebook today. I saw it, I read it. It was a great article, but it was a little bit biased in my opinion, which you can expect because it was written by an English journalist and claiming to have pulled the rug under Rassie, and I don't know if Rassie's anywhere near a rug at the moment. I've got to believe that he was doing just as much last night, fiddling around. You know, the South African A team for me played reasonable rugby, and they it goes back to that saying I remember watching on a movie years ago. It was called Gentagif, where they asked the guy, what is he doing? And he said, Gentagif. He said, just enough not to get fired. And it's like the South African A was doing just enough just to win the game. We're in that Super Brew pool, Brent, my kid and myself, with your kid and Brendan. And when I saw Brendan's kid go 14, I thought to myself, there's no way South Africa A wins by 14. There'll be all sorts of funny stuff going on in the media. You know, they just want to win this game. And South Africa didn't score in the second half. And as Henrik quite clearly pointed out, they were doing tap and goes. I don't know what that was all about. I actually had a small bet on the game last night. And in hindsight, even though I did win, I feel a bit foolish having a bet because it wasn't a serious game by both teams. And, you know, here we're sitting with a handicap of 40, which is slightly lower than the Sharks' second game, which I think got up to about 44 in the end. I hear you, Henrik, and I think the only thing that will save the plus here is probably the conditions and, just that Cape Town is a little bit low scoring. But I'm of the opinion it's a minus bet here or it's no bet. I can't see myself taking this plus. Not that I don't think it will arrive. I just don't have the confidence that it will arrive. And at this point, I haven't even had a bet. I don't even think I'm going to have one. I want to go back to the fact that we were talking about the Currie Cup. I mean, do me a favor. We spoke about this last year in the lockdown when the rugby players came back. Not postponing games, cancelling. Who cancels games? We want to see games. There isn't a crowd. What are they doing? Just if there's a problem in Durban, I know there's a problem in Durban. I live here. There's a problem in Joburg. Just take the game to Nelspruit or take it to Bloemfontein. Play it somewhere else. Who cares? We want to watch rugby. I don't want to see 0-0 and 2 points each. I mean, what the hell is that? It's an absolute joke. This calling Black Label, and I'm a Black Label drinker. I buy those 1 litre beers for $19. I love the beer, and they're spending so much money on this Currie Cup. Well, I don't know how much it is, but it's got to be a lot because the sponsors keep falling away, and they don't get to show their little thing on the field. I mean, seriously, I don't know who's in control of this, but it's an absolute joke. Yeah, so for me, it's minus, small bet, or it's no bet.
So I had a look at the Western Province side. I must admit, I'm not particularly impressed by it. Henrik, has the Lions named their side yet that you've seen?
Yes, Brent, I have. Stuart Hawke is the captain. Alan Wynne-Jones on the bench as well, which is significant. Yeah, he arrived in the country today. So, yeah, I have named their side. Let me just quickly get there.
I'm also having a look at it now. I see Chris has put it in the good for the game preview.
Have you got it?
Josh Adams is back. He, of course, was meant to start against South Africa. So he's actually he's timed it well because he missed the South African A game where he was unlikely to score many tries. And he's potentially going to add to his tally of what he's already got 7 or something like that, eh?
Yeah. No, so they've put out a decent side. But yeah, with the squad they've got, they're always going to put out a good side with every single game. So yeah, I'm still in the plus. I'm happy to take the plus here.
So just talking about total points in Cape Town, it's going to be interesting because Wednesday night's game was a low-scoring game, but I think it was more because of the rugby played. And I think there might still be opportunities at Cape Town Stadium because, Newlands was very much low-scoring. But from what I've seen of the Cape Town Stadium, the surface is a bit quicker. It's a little bit, reminds me a little bit more of this up in the Highveld. And I just want to have a look. I agree with Gavin on the conditions because if the Cape Town weather is miserable, it probably won't be high-scoring. But for me, this is a game where I could see maybe something similar to that third game against the Sharks where the Lions score plenty, but they also concede a few. And I think I'll probably be looking at match points in this game. And the Crow Tip's just making the point that Marcus Smith is playing as well. Of course, he got called up. And I mean, I must admit, Henrik, I know I think you're a bit of a fan of him as well. I know there are a couple of guys on the forum that he's a real talent, but he does play a very attacking game.
Yeah, he's very attacking. And he's a great fly-off, and he actually kicks well at goal as well. This past weekend for England, I don't think he missed a kick, or if he missed, it might be like one or so. He's a very good goal kicker as well, so that helps for the points as well. It's his first game in the Lions, so might have a few nerves. I'm not sure about the combinations. I think Ali Price is the 9. I can't remember now. So they haven't played together.
Yeah, Ali Price is 9. Yeah.
So that's a new combination as well. But it will probably be very attacking. The problem with points on the Stormers side is Tim Swiel. He's not a very attacking 10.
No.
He's more of a kicking 10. But there might be points. And like you say, the Cape Town Stadium definitely more points than Newlands. But at sea level, I'm very hesitant to go overs. Durban and Cape Town, I don't like going over. So it will all depend on the quad. Brent, what do you think the total points will be? Probably about mid-60s?
Yeah, they're probably going to price up 63.5, 64.5. I might also be reluctant. In fact, I probably am going against you, but I've looked at this Lions side and I've looked at the Western Province side, and I'm a bit in Gavin's camp on this one. I'm leaning more towards he's leaning towards a no bet or a minus. I'm leaning a bit towards the minus. But you know me, I love my points. I'll probably look for a British and Irish points line here. Because I do think, and maybe they will concede a few, but I do think we're going to get loads of points. Sure. I see Chris agreeing there as well. And Gav, you want to add a bit more on this game? Well, there's the total points line.
71.5. A lot of points.
Okay, that's high. That's high.
Very high in Cape Town.
Okay, so 71 and the handicap's 40. That's looking at a 55-15 kind of game, or 55-16 kind of game for points. I've got to be honest, I can't see Stormers getting 16 points in this game. The Sharks battled in their first game. The Lions didn't even get there. The Sharks got there in the second game, but let's be honest, 4 of the 5 Sharks tries were mistakes of the Lions, leaving the ball lying around and funny charge downs and all sorts of other stuff. But just going back to this Marcus Smith, as you know, I don't know all the players. I do know the fly-offs. I generally know the fullbacks and the captains and sometimes the 8th men. So I do know a couple of players. I don't know all of them. But I was watching that England game because I had a bet on that. I was on the minus. And I think I posted it, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something to the tune of, the guy got 10 out of 10, Henrik. He didn't miss a kick. Now, that's 20 points. Now, you're on a minus 60, whatever that handicap was, 58, 61. I can't even remember what it was. Yeah, 61 or 62. You know, that guy misses 5 kicks or 4 kicks, and your minus is gone. He won the minus just on the kicking. They didn't score the right amount of tries that would have got you over there, because you don't, when you're looking at points, and I'm pretty sure Henrik does this as well, you're looking at points, you're not giving them 7. You're giving them a 6 point, a 6.2, a 6.3, whatever it is when you're doing your maths. And to get them getting their 10 tries and getting their 70 points, you don't generally expect 70 from 10 tries. You know, that's obviously the full house. So yeah, I still joke to the guys watching, or my family watching over here, my kid, saying this guy was obviously called up to the Lions between conversion 6 and conversion 7. I don't know when they made the decision, but geez, like his kicking was fantastic. And if he's playing tomorrow, excuse me, that's sorry, not tomorrow, it's Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. If he's playing on Saturday and he's kicking as well as he did last week, the minus is certainly a runner.
Right. Well, let's move on to the next game then. Well, certainly, I think the idea is we're going to look, well, I was thinking points, but 71.5 that the conductor came in there with. That is very high, as Hendrik says, for Cape Town. But Gav, will stay with you. New Zealand minus 40.5 against Fiji. It's a similar handicap to last week. Last week, I think, ended up starting 46.5, and Fiji were absolutely superb. In fact, I mean, there were times there where you thought Fiji might just win the game. They were playing so well and gave New Zealand a hell of a shock. I'm already preempting what Hendrik's going to say on this one, and he might mention the New Zealand coach. I'm not too sure. But, Gav, let's get your opinion first.
I don't even know who the New Zealand coach is. But anyway, so I was on the minus last week. I liked it. I thought it was low enough after the smashing of that school team that Tonga put together. Tonga, sorry. We never looked, well, the minus punters never looked like they were going to win. There was that stretch where there were 4 tries in a row, and you were doing the maths in your head thinking they got to score another 3, maybe 4 in 15 minutes, and then it became 12 minutes and 10, and obviously it didn't win. But interestingly, I stand to be corrected. I don't think I'm wrong. New Zealand scored the right amount of points they were expected to score. The problem and the reason why the plus arrived there was that Fiji scored a record scoring points against New Zealand. And, if the record is 23, I don't know what it was before, but scoring 23 points, that's what won them the game. Can Fiji score 21 points this weekend? I don't think they can. So what's happened here is if I give, in my head, I'm thinking maybe 12, 15 at a stretch. The New Zealand handicaps come down 6 or 7 points, another 7, that's 14. They lost by 36 last week. I see this game being over 50. And I see this game going over 50 reasonably easy. The Fijians have not got the fitness level that the New Zealanders have got. They punch drunk from their victory. I mean, we all remember those Uruguayans when they beat Fiji in the World Cup. They came back the next game, they were absolutely thumped. These Fijians, that was their 2021. They won. They were interviewing the Oaks afterwards like they'd won that game. I'm a minus punter here. I'm not even interested in the plus. At 40.5, 46 I was excited last week. I lost 40.5. I'm definitely on minus New Zealand here.
Right. Well, we're going to get Hendrik's opinion now, but one thing you described the working out in your mind how many tries would need to be scored, and I think that's a difference between Hendrik and myself. We could both have the same bet on it. There's 8 minutes left, and the team needs 3 tries. And somewhere inside of me, I still believe it can happen. And Hendrik says, you're talking absolute crap, the bet's gone. But yes, it's true. I'm a believer. I'll never forget watching a horse race with a guy. I used to play the horses. I went up to the tote, and there was an old bullet called Slim. And we were watching this horse race, and I bet on this horse, and it was like 400 meters to go. They were taking the turn at Gosforth Park or wherever, and my horse was stone last. And I'm looking at the TV, and I'm looking up, and he looked at me. He said, you still think it can win, don't you? And I said, I think so. He said, and he just shook his head. It ran second last or something. But that's it. There's always that bit of me that's an optimist. But Hendrik, you're more of a realist, I think we'll say. And realistically, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, Brent, you're much more positive than I am when it comes to the betting. I would rather be pessimistic and or realistic, like you say, and be surprised and get the nice surprise. But yeah. No, on this game, the thing is, the weather might be a bit of a problem here. There's lots of rain predicted for Hamilton. There's a bit of a gap while the game. I just checked the YR prediction again. So while the game will be played, there's a bit of a gap where it won't rain, but it will be rain early in the day and after the game as well. That might change still because we're two days out. So yeah, we'll have to have a look at the weather here. 40.5. Fiji were really impressive, and they had a great first 60 minutes, but they ran out of puff a bit at the end. I think the halftime handicap on the plus might be the way to go. Yeah, I think they'll give the All Blacks a good game in the first half again. They were really impressive at the breakdown. The All Blacks struggled there. So I think the halftime handicap again, they will come up firing again. And the All Blacks might pull away a bit at the end. So on the full-time handicap, I'm still leaning on the plus here. But I think the safer option might be the halftime handicap if you can get 19.5, 20.5.
Right. I don't have too firm an opinion on this game, although I'm once again leaning with Gavin, which is not that often. Gavin, I mean, often we're butting our heads against each other. But I do think that this week New Zealand might get that 40-point margin. Just out of interest, I'm having a look. So I popped onto SpreadX, one of the overseas sites, to see total points lines. They don't have for this game. But interesting that they got 37.5 for the Stormers game and not the 40.5 that I'd put up there. So, we might even see that handicap coming down a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to go with New Zealand on the minus 40.5.
Yeah, it will be windy in Hamilton as well. If the rain stops, there will be a lot of wind as well.
And the wind is a factor, particularly, Hendrik, of total points play. I mean, you might find New Zealand do score a number of tries, but they don't convert as many of them. And that's why if it is a windy game and you like the unders, then go unders points. But if you like the overs, rather go overs tries.
Tries, yeah, that's a sensible thing to do. Look, Richie Mo'unga is a good goal kicker, and but in the conditions you don't want to take the chance, rather go the tries. And I don't see New Zealand kicking the 3 points necessarily, so that the tries would definitely be a better option if you like the overs.
Yeah, Crotip saying that New Zealand caught cold, and yes, it was a top Fiji performance. So he reckons New Zealand will beat the handicap there. Let's go on to the next game, and we'll stick with Hendrik. It's Australia against France. This is now the series decider. I mean, France should have actually been 2-0 up in the series. And I think it was Alex who was on the show quite a while ago and said he wanted a price for a France 3-0 series win. And it was pointed out that they wouldn't have their best side and all the rest. But they're pretty unlucky they got themselves to blame not to be 2-0 up. But now the fact of the matter is, Hendrik, we've got a thrilling decider on our hands at the Suncorp Stadium. And the line has come back in. The first two tests were sort of 8.5, 9.5. We've now got Australia minus 5.5. The question I got to you is that are they still giving this Australian team too much credit?
Brent, this has been a really expensive test series for me to follow. I've lost on both the two first tests, and I lost badly on both. All my bets on the games I lost. I didn't make a single winning bet. I backed Australia in both. I liked them on the minus. I liked their overs, and they were really disappointing. They gave France too much of a head start in the first game, and in the second game as well. They give them soft tries, but France have been full value and they've been good at the breakdown, especially. And the thing which I saw at the breakdowns, especially with Australia, they didn't clean out properly, and they gave France too many opportunities to contest for the ball at the breakdown, and that killed them, in my opinion. So the line has come in a bit. Both teams have made a lot of changes. I think it's like 7 or 8 on both sides. France bringing in Terry Thomas. He's a great wing, and they've still got Pinot on the opposite wing as well. So 2 great wings, but they've got a new fly-off. I think they've got a new scrum-off. I like the changes that Australia has made here. I like what's the outside centre, Iketau, coming in, especially with Temua going out of the team, because Temua has been in horrible form the whole year, probably for 2 years now, actually. And I like Tate McDermott starting. Tate McDermott, he poses a lot of threats with his running game. He gets the defenders committed to him, and then the guys running off him. He does that really well. And Lucky Swinton starting on the flank brings a bit of physicality. So I like the changes that Australia has made here, and I'm going for Australia for the 3rd time. Hopefully, 3rd time lucky for me. So I'm going to go on the minus here. I'm not sure about points, and Brisbane has always been a happy hunting ground for Australia and for the Reds. So I'm going for the minus here, but definitely not confident after the first 2 tests.
I'm just quickly having a look at the weather for Saturday in Brisbane. It doesn't look bad. And the humidity levels look fairly low as well. So you're going for Australia. Gav, yourself on this one? 5.5 points. I just before Gavin comes in, I'll just tell you what my bet was in the last test. I said either team by 7 points or less, because it just doesn't seem to be much between these sides. I had a look at Sunbet now; they don't have that up yet, but it's quite a nice bet that they carry, and it's normally around the 15 to 10 mark, somewhere around there. Gav, what do you think of this one?
Sorry, is this game on Saturday?
I think so.
Not Tuesday again.
No, it's on Saturday. Definitely on Saturday.
Oh, Gavin, yes, no, it's on Saturday.
I can't believe it. Yeah, so I only watched one and a half of these games. I didn't watch the first half of that first game. I'm gonna say I'm a France punter here, French punter. Sorry, I'm not even gonna bother with a plus. I'm gonna take them on the board at 15. At 5.5. Probably looking at something close to 2-1, 18 to 10, 2-1. I think that's a little bit of value. I did read somewhere that this is the first time the French had won in quite a while in Australia. I'm quite surprised. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but you know, this it takes me back to those comments the New Zealanders made when South Africa left Super Rugby last year. A lot of the New Zealanders were unhappy that we weren't playing anymore, and they wanted to play against us. And obviously the Australians are quite happy. They didn't have to come all the way to South Africa. But I don't know that this is enough competition for these guys. Yes, South Africa, most of South African rugby players haven't played as much as these Australians and the New Zealanders. But when you look at that log with the Super Rugby Aotearoa, or whatever they call it, you know, you've got 5 teams at the bottom. Australia were poor. I mean, in years gone by, I would have happily taken an Australian minus, but I'm just not interested. Again, this is one of these not minus, France or no bet. There's value here. They've won this game. They nearly won the first game. They made a mistake. They didn't deal with the end of the game properly in that first test. They would have been 2-0 up. It would have been a dead rubber. There is something to play for. I cannot believe it's minus 5.5. I'm actually going to suggest they got the wrong favourite here. I don't know. It just feels that way. It's France or no bet for me. Haven't had a bet yet.
Yep. I must say, when I was looking at it at first, I was also leaning towards the French. But then I saw actually it was someone else who came up with a comment. They just said it looks like France are experimenting, and he also likes the changes like Henrik does that Australia have made. So I do like that as well. Gee, I think this is another. I think the handicaps well said. If anything, yeah, I'm probably leaning back towards either team by 7 points or less, because I think this could be quite a thrilling end to the series. And Chris is coming in, and he's quite confident on overs, on points. Conditions should be good, Chris. And yes, I imagine you will get a line of around 47.5, 48.5 again in this game. So that's the Australia game against France. It'll, as Gavin said, pleased to have it to watch on a Saturday morning. Sorry?
So England went to France a few years ago. I can't remember which year it was. And they ended up winning 3-0 under Eddie Jones. I think it was his first tour down there with the English. And I think I was on Australia twice in that 3-match series. I don't know why I went for them, but they just got thumped. And this French rugby, I don't know too much about the French team. You mentioned that Teddy Tome, or whatever they call him. I think I can recognise him if I see him on the screen. I've heard the name a few times. He's quite decent. This Australian team, they've lost series. They lost that Lions series. They nearly lost the one in 2001. They seem to lose these series that you think they're going to win. I don't know. Yeah, no, not for me.
We'll stay with you for the next game then, Gav. Wales up against Argentina. Now, Southpaw in the Good for the Game forum saying, why are Wales still favourite for this game? Argentina beat.
Right.
Hey?
Southpaw's 100% right. They got the wrong favourite. In fact, they got the wrong favourite by a digit. This should be minus 10 Argentina. Yes, sometimes I go very bullish on these, and I see Henrik's about to start smiling because it sounds like I'm talking absolute rubbish. But I don't know. Did you watch that game? If it wasn't for that red card, yes.
Yeah, I saw bits of it, and I also was quite impressed with Argentina. I must say, I think the handicap for that game was 5.5. And to be honest, I remember last week the forum was quite split on the forum, and in fact the live comments on this show was quite split on that. But now we got a 1.5. And so, what do you reckon, Argentina the bet of the weekend? Yeah, Gav?
Argentina by more than 10. It's starting to. I didn't even realize this handicap. Sorry, I haven't even looked at these handicaps. At this handicap, yeah, I'm sorry, they got the wrong favourite. That Welsh team were lucky. They were lucky to get double digits, and they were lucky to draw that game. They should have been thumped. I don't like red cards. That's 20-minute story that we got in the Currie Cup is far better.
So, Henrik, let's get your views on this one now. Agree with Southpaw and Gav there?
Gavin, I think you read me wrong there. I'm with you on this one. I don't think it should.
It wasn't about that. It was about my bullish attitude of going like handicaps of 4, and I'm saying, well, they'll more than 15. I don't know. It just feels.
I just want to say I don't agree with you on the double-digit handicap. I don't think that it should be a double-digit handicap, but I agree that they've got the wrong favorite. I would make Argentina about 3 points favorite, 2 or 3 points. So yeah, I was also on Argentina last week. I was on over 20.5 points for Argentina, and they scored 20 points, and they actually got the 20 points quite early in the game. So I was, and Sanchez missed 3 kicks at goal after they had 20 points. So I was really disappointed to miss the overs on their points, and I was on them outright at almost 2-1. I think something like 17-10 or something like that. Luckily I was on the +6.5 as well, but in the end I was so disappointed at the points bet and the Argentina to win not coming through. I watched the whole game. I think they'll win. Yeah, Wales had made 2 changes to their team. Argentina team, I haven't seen that yet, but I think it might be close to the same as last week. And I expect Argentina to win here. And I think me and Gavin, we're going to have the same best bet here because I like the Argentina strongly here.
Well, I've got to get my best bet for the newsletter. We, of course, hit last week. In fact, I was going very well on the Lions too until midweek. Had a couple of bets in a row. But now, having a look at the show today, we'll go through our best bets now. But this is lining up as though it could be a potential best bet. Anything to add there, Mr. Cohen?
Yeah, so Conductor's asking about what time the Bulls versus SAA side is. I don't know if he's having a joke there, but I didn't even realise that was even a fixture.
No, they are playing.
They're going to play. They're going to play in Gavin. They're going to play in Cape Town just before the Stormers and the Lions.
That's beautiful.
So in fact, Gavin, I can see.
No, not yet.
Not yet. But Gavin, in fact, Rassie Erasmus suggested that they play another South Africa A against the Lions. In other words, to give his place. And Gatland actually said straight out no to that. And then the Bulls are obviously now not playing anymore. So the Bulls are going to play South Africa. So that's great. I mean, I think it'll be good for our guys because our guys do need the prep run as well. But yeah, I'm sure they will be betting out on this. But I guess the bookmakers quite understandably treading a bit carefully. But I'm pretty sure we'll get betting closer to the time on this one.
Yeah, so I think something else is going on here. They want to be in the same stadium as that Lions team, and I did make a comment last night on that H2O story, and I quite enjoyed Mike Greenway's article on that, saying, if you what did Warren Gatland say? If you're going to be the water boy, you're going to carry water on the field. I mean, that was a very strategic little story that I don't think I've ever seen a coach be a water boy. I've sort of seen it in cricket, I think. I've never seen it in rugby. So it was quite sly, and it just goes back to the days when I was on the roof in Club 15. I know I've harped on about this. That Rassie's not an idiot, though. He's a clever, he's not a mug.
And just doing something so simple like that gets under the skin of the other team. It makes them, it's just that bit to get under.
Yeah, and also I think like Warren Gatland's probably looking at that thinking, like, I could be the water boy. Like, why didn't I think of that? But then he'd probably get tired running, once or twice he'd probably be out of breath. But sorry, just one more thing, going back to the Stormers game and what both of you were saying a little bit earlier before the game. I'm very worried about these Lions not wanting to get injured before the test match next week. This is their last game before they play South Africa. That minus, I think the minus just might win by default. But yeah, again, sorry, I'm just overthinking it a bit here. Argentina, best bet.
Right. Well, let's go down to Henrik. Before I bring Henrik in on this one, just to mention, we're obviously going to have a big show next week for the first test, so make sure to join us live at 9 o'clock. Henrik, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Brent, Gavin, I just want to touch on that, what you said about Rassie, the strategic move being the water boy. If he was the coach, well, he's the director of rugby, if he was the coach, apparently he would not have been allowed to be on the field. I saw a tweet from Dave Wessels today weighing in on that, and he said he tried I'm not sure whether it was when he coached the Force or the Rebels, but he tried to be pitch side and he wasn't allowed. The coach isn't allowed to be pitch side, and he said Stephen Larkham had the same problem when he was still at the Brumbies. So it's because Nienaber is the coach that Rassie was allowed to be pitch side.
Okay, that's interesting, because I've seen Tana Umaga do it for the Blues as well.
Okay, that's very interesting.
He's not the coach, yeah.
No, because I think that this whole plan might have come into place after the World Cup. I mean, this Jacques Nienaber guy, I don't know how many, I mean, you guys watch a little bit more of the rugby TV than I do. I haven't seen Nike talking to anybody. All I'm seeing is Rassie. It's almost like he's a puppet. I don't know. Is he actually our coach? I think Rassie is pulling the strings. I don't know.
I think there is a lot of school of thought that Rassie still pulls up his strings, but he's definitely our coach. I think if I'm not mistaken, Henrik, the guy had COVID, eh?
Yeah, Nienaber has COVID at the moment. So, yeah, that's why he wasn't there.
I think Rassie's played at the World Cup.
Collecting a salary and showing his face in a few media clips.
Henrik, let's move to your best bet.
Yeah, I'm going for Argentina as well. Not on the plus, just to win the game. Probably 12 to 10, the best price there. Yeah, you can probably take a bit of a minus on them. Look to get a price about 15 to 10 or so, about -2.5 thereabouts. To get a better price, I think Argentina will win the game. That's the best bet.
Excellent. Well, thanks to both of you, Henrik and Gav. And just Gav, from your side, anything else you're betting on this weekend? Now that there's not a lot of rugby, you got anything on the open?
Yes, I backed Oosthuizen. I'm busy working on an algorithm. So I know it's a fancy word for what we're doing. We built, as myself and a mate, we're building a database of golf. So we put in every single result in the European and American tour. And each round, sorry, not each shot, but each round. So we're not counting, whether I got a 6 on the 4th hole and that sort of stuff. It gets a 72, we write a 72 down, we make some notes. We do a little bit of work every week, probably about an hour work every week. And our little algorithm punched out Oosthuizen, obviously John Rahm. He's in top form at the moment. I know that he didn't have a great day today. Stuart Sink was one of the outsiders we picked. This Bezuidenhout, Christian Bezuidenhout, he's due a big one. His form is great. Got involved in a bit of the golf. I love Bastille Day in the Tour de France. That was yesterday. I didn't get to watch it. I completely forgot. I don't know why. My phone reminded me. I actually have a reminder on my phone for that because the French try and win every 14th of July. Nothing else other than just watching the rugby, and watching the golf. I'm just enjoying the golf. It's going to finish quite late on Sunday night, but I say late. It's not afternoon. It's like 9 o'clock, which is very nice. So the final round will get going at about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening. Survivor was tonight. It's not on Sunday, so that's quite nice. I won't miss any golf. And that's just rugby and golf this weekend.
Well, and you talk about a golf algorithm, I just think
we're missing Greyville racing. I know that we're supposed to have racing in KZN. 2 meetings we've missed this week. I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. I know they haven't made an announcement yet, but I honestly don't think they're going to race in Durban this weekend. I don't know if they're racing in Joburg. But, there's still problems here. There's still all sorts of rubbish going on. So I don't think there's racing this weekend.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gav. When you talking about your golf algorithm, I was going to say, don't make me tell the Betfair Tiger Woods story again. If you ever do want to see that one, you can go search for the video of Gavin that I interviewed him at the start of lockdown last year. Anything else for you on the weekend, Henrik?
No, Brent. I'll have a look at Ireland on the cricket tomorrow, maybe. Brendan Wessels, the conductor, he confidently backed Ireland in the first 2 games, and the first one was washed out, and he collected handsomely on the second ODI. So, yeah, I think they might be worth a bet as well in the game tomorrow.
They're about 9-2. I've seen 9-2, and
Yeah,
I totally agree with Ben. I mean, I can.
Say 4-1, but yeah, probably 9-2.
Yeah.
So I think
and the reality is not much between the sides. That's the sad truth.
Yes, and I think they might be well worth backing again tomorrow.
You scared?
I was just going to ask. I saw you guys talking about that cricket the other day. I actually didn't watch any of it, and obviously South Africa lost, and I saw you talking about 4-1. What was the biggest prize, Henrik, that Ireland went in that game, before the game or even during the game?
I know Brendan backed them at 6-1 before the game. Well, that's what he said on that.
That's a big
Yeah, it's always these first wins that catch you. I remember when Bangladesh won their first test match. They played 32 test matches, and they beat Zimbabwe, and they were like even money to get 150 with 8 wickets or whatever in the last. I can't remember exactly what it was, but geez, that price was like huge. It wasn't even that much. If that price was so huge that you looked at Zimbabwe's price and you thought, like, how do they lose this? Because it's a team that has never beaten them. I mean, we all saw Argentina beat South Africa, Italy beat South Africa, Japan beat South Africa. You know, these guys get those wins, and I must actually go and watch the highlights of that game. It sounded fantastic. And, I suppose if it's a similar price, you guys watched the game. I don't know how bad South Africa were. They seemed okay in that West Indies, especially their test cricket. The T20s, they were okay. They weren't rubbish, but they were okay. So, yeah, it must have been a stellar performance by the Irish. So if they are playing a game this weekend, I will watch that game.
Excellent. Well, thanks, gents. Yeah, it's tomorrow, yes. And then they play T20s, I think, after that. Anyway, guys, thanks very much. Thanks to all the boys in the live chat as well. We'll be back next week for a bumper show, having a look at the big one, the first test between the British and Irish Lions and the Springboks, betting very close on that one. Thanks to all the guys in the live chat. Have a good weekend. And to my guests, have a good weekend as well. Good punting, lads. And we'll chat over the weekend. Cheers then.
Bye.